on this computer. So I worked on my YouTube page a little bit earlier. I started this thing called Wellness at Last for our senior centers. And if you're interested, please feel free to check it out. It's on my YouTube page, and I think it has the date, which yesterday was August the 29th, but it says Wellness at Last. And it was an hour long. It was kind of information about safety precautions for an exercise program. We talked about action planning, which I'm sure y'all are familiar with. If you've ever done any of the Aging Masteries program or chronic disease self-management program, diabetes self-management, you're probably very familiar with the action plan. But I talked about that and just the history of all the programs that I've done with my job. I'll be here 21 years this year, so I've done a few. And then we did an exercise program where movements were taken from the Arthritis Foundation's People with Arthritis Can Exercise program. And so it's about an hour long. I'm going to do it on the last Monday of every month. In real time, it starts at 10:30 on that Monday. But I recorded it and posted it on my YouTube page. So if you are interested in that, that's anything on my page is for you. It's to somehow be helpful to somebody. So there's one particular movement we do for the jaw, and that's where we jut our jaw out like this, holding it for 3 seconds. And I got tickled because I remember years ago doing that program at a senior center and a lady's teeth fell out. And I got tickled yesterday thinking about that. So I was like, you got to hold your hand right here in case your teeth fall out. But anyway, that's there. And I'm trying to get it organized and think of things to put up there that, you know, are just accessible and just, I don't know, help you out in some way. Just kind of diving in and doing it, going full force virtual. So I know Miss Arlene's warmed up. She is warmed up and ready to cool down. But Miss Susie, me and you will walk and open and close, pump our hands. Even if you're seated, you know, you can march in place and just pump these arms. You know, our whole purpose is to get our blood flowing, to get our bodies warm, so it decreases our chance of injury whenever we are exercising. So, and James is new. He's not here yet, but y'all aren't new to the Tai Chi program. So I try to be respectful of James, or anyone, not just James. Anybody that's never done Tai Chi before, I try to slow down and really go through the movements and explain what we're doing, because I don't want to lose anybody that's new. So when we have people who know what we're doing, we can do class a little bit differently. So if whoever's watching this and recorded on YouTube, hello, glad you're here. But we have Susie and Miss Arlene. We're going to get started. First, thinking about our body awareness and how we're holding ourselves, that good posture, that nice soft bend in the knee, our feet about shoulder width apart. I don't know why, it just feels nicer for me to be a little bit wider, but you can find that magic spot for you where you feel like your weight is best supported. Getting that mindset of breathing. You know, when we're doing something, we tend to hold our breath. When we're learning something new or doing something out of routine, we hold our breath. So just be mindful that not to do that. And if you can, fully inflate those lungs with air, and then exhale, completely emptying those lungs with air. Getting in that habit of diaphragmatic breathing with our movement. Just take a few deep breaths as you stand in that stable position. All right, let's start with our neck. Oh, there's Alexie. Told you she's gonna come in and check with us. So here we go. We're going to start with our neck. We bring our hands up, palms down towards our chin and chest. Push away from our body and follow those hands all the way down, feeling a little stretch in the back of that neck. Inhale as we come up, and then exhale whenever you get ready. You're familiar with these movements, so I try to be a little more quiet so that you can really get in that internal mental quiet zone that Tai Chi can bring us. So now we're going to go side to side as we look towards that shoulder. Remember, we don't go as far as we can go. We just go until we feel a little bit of a stretch, then come back to the front. The more we do it, the more flexible our neck becomes, the better range of motion that we have with that neck joint. Side to side, keeping those hands engaged. I like to inhale as I switch my hands and then exhale as I go to the side. And sometimes that doesn't work. Sometimes your inhale or your exhale lasts a little bit longer. So it doesn't have to be perfect, just as long as you're breathing, that's what's important. So now let's rotate those shoulders, rolling those shoulders forward. My hands are on the sides of my legs. I'm drawing little circles, thinking about the size of a quarter. That's my challenge, is that my circles are small. I tend to get a little bit big in my shoulder circles. I like to feel that the massage of those back muscles. But the point of this is to warm up your shoulders. Always rotate forward first and then back second. That helps reset your posture. Let's do that big shoulder circle where we come up and then push down. Inhale up and then exhale as you come down. Let's do one more. I like to practice that breath with this. Very good. Now for our spine, we have our ball. We're going to separate the heavens and the earth. So that hand on top of your ball is going to push down towards the ground. The other hand comes up, follows your spine to your head and pushes up towards the ceiling, keeping those soft bends in your elbows. Come back to your ball and switch. I like my exhale to be as I push. I like to inhale as I come to my ball and exhale as I separate and push down and up at the same time, stretching my spine. Back to our ball. Now let's take that ball for a ride side to side. That hand that's on top tells us the direction it's going. With breathing, I like to inhale as I change my hands and then exhale as I come across. And you might have to slow down a little bit to accommodate that breath. Just make sure that you're not going as far as you can go. You're just going a short little trip from the right here, the top of this leg, switch, and across to the top of that leg. So we're not going to take that ball way over here because that can start pulling our spine, pulling our knee, and it can hurt us. And that's definitely what we're not going for here. So side to side, very good. So those are our upper body warm-up stretches, easily done seated. It's no different when we're in a chair versus standing up. Standing, our weight's on both legs that whole time. So it does kind of start wearing on our legs. Our legs get tired, maybe our feet get a little bit tired. So if you ever need a break from holding weight on your legs, if you need to just give your legs a little bit of a shake and a break, always take time to do that. Listen to your body and take a break whenever you need to. Because I have Miss Arlene seated today, I'm going to remind you of some of the seated versions of our lower body exercises, particularly our hips and our knees, because they are a little bit different from a chair versus standing up. So for our hips, our first exercise is shifting the weight to one leg. We put our heel out forward and our hands are come back, and then we pause in the middle as we shift, transition the hands up and that toe back, just like a kickstand. So it's like a leg swing. If you're seated, then you're gonna put that foot out, just like you did when you're standing up with the hands back. Then you're gonna come back to seated position. You're not going to come back here with the leg because that puts you towards falling out of your chair. So seated is out and then back to seated position. And standing is shift that weight to one leg, heel forward, hands back, pause in the middle, and toe back, hands forward. You don't have to pause in the middle. You can make that transition. Oops, hold on. You can make that transition without pausing. I don't know if I can. I'm so used to pausing in the middle that it's hard to not pause. To me, that puts a little more stress on that leg that's holding your weight. You may be comfortable keeping that weight completely on that leg the whole time. So it's not a problem. I just like to pause in the middle, kind of regroup, and then make that transition. So you can go from side to side, shift. You can do the right leg. Then you can come back to the middle, shift, and do the left leg. So you don't have to do all three legs. I call them leg swings. I don't know that that's technically what it's supposed to be called. It just reminds me of that from dance. So you don't have to do all three on one side at a time. You can give it a break, shift, and go from side to side. Just whatever works best for you. I like to keep it to about 3 per leg. That way it doesn't wear out your leg. You don't get too tired before you go to the Tai Chi movements. The next one for our hips is a shift from side to side. So I'm shifting to one leg, and then I'm shifting to that other leg. My hands are kind of stacked like this, and my palms are going in the direction of that weight shift, and I'm stopping right here at the frame of my body. So shift that weight, turn, and shift to the other side. Now notice I'm keeping my feet on the floor. That's one option. Or I can be brave and tap that toe out. That's a little more challenging for that weight-bearing leg. But that's what's great about Tai Chi, is that it accommodates every level and comfortable and your level of comfort. So your ability and your comfort level. And you have good days and bad days. This exercise, seated, I really suggest for everybody to do. The people who do standing all the time Tai Chi and the people seated, because it really opens up your hip joint. So just now we did the standing where we shift the weight, tap the foot out to the side. Now we can do it here where we tap that foot out to the side. That's not a problem. You may feel comfortable doing that, but you may not. That may be too much for you. So what I recommend is opening up that knee or laying that knee to the side, opening that hip joint. As I take my hands to the side, I'm pushing this leg into the floor. So that's like my weight shift. Here, as I open this leg, bring it back up. Now go to the other side, pushing this leg into the floor as I open up that hip joint. Now you may be doing this and thinking, that's too much to move my hands, to open my hip, and to push my foot into the floor. Okay, if that's too much, forget part of it. Don't do the hand part. Just open up that joint. Or don't do the push the weight into the floor part. Just keep that foot stable as you lay that leg to the side. But it may make you feel a little more stable to push that into the floor. You're in charge of how much pressure you push there, and it may provide for you a stable part as you open that joint. But what happens is, because we sit a lot, even if you're driving, you're sitting, and you sit in your house, you sit at the table, we sit a lot, we sit at church, and our hips get really tight from sitting, and so we need to stretch those hip joints a little bit so that our muscles aren't so tight. Tight hip joints can cause us to have pains in other areas, particularly our lower back. So sometimes if you have lower back pain, it could be from your hips. So laying that knee up to the side opens up that hip joints and stretches that just a little bit. So technically that's the seated version of this movement. But I just recommend it for everybody because of that hip stretch that's much needed for all of us, because all of us probably sit more than we should, and that really tightens up that hip joint. All right, so now for our knees. We have our loose fist. I keep mine down by my hips. You can bring yours up here as long as you're not holding tension in your shoulders. So we shift the weight and we lift that toe, tap it out, and punch that opposite hand. Shift, lift, tap and punch. So we're shifting the weight, tapping and punching. Shifting our weight side to side. Inhaling and exhaling at our own pace. Most important is that we are breathing. Taking our time, slow, smooth, and continuously to shift the weight and move from side to side. So seated is pretty self-explanatory, where you just tap that foot out, opposite hand, tap that foot out. If you want to put your foot higher in the air, you might want to scoot back in your chair a little bit. So the chair can support your leg to be able to lift it higher. Otherwise, you're scoot up in your chair and you're having to use this whole leg muscle to really put that foot out there. Now, if you're able to do that, that's great. But if you found that when you lifted that leg, you were like, oh, wow, I can't do that very easily, maybe scoot back in your chair a little bit and let that chair support your leg. So you can raise your foot, and then it warms up that knee by extending it, bending it, and bringing it back. For the second knee exercise, if you're seated, instead of putting your toe out there, this time, let me hold on to the wall. You're going to put your heel out there. So if you're seated, you're going to put your heel out as you punch with that opposite hand. Standing, we're going to shift the weight, step, heel, toe, shift the weight to the front foot, shift it to the back foot, and then side by side. So as we shift, here I step, it's a small step forward. I'm not going to shift all my weight to that front foot. I'm going to keep some weight on this back leg as I transition side to side. Another important factor for this movement is when I take that step and shift the weight, the leg in the back stays flat on the floor. If I lift that heel up off the floor, then it starts pulling my body forward, and that puts me towards falling. So here is a more stable position, keeping that foot flat on the floor, bringing it back side by side. So the punch is the opposite arm of the foot that stepped out. And this is for our knees. So if you're seated, you're putting your heel out. And if you're standing, then this is your movement. So we were talking yesterday in class about how if you put that foot forward, do you ever hear any kind of noises coming from your knee? Sometimes when I squat, or there's this machine at the gym where it's like I don't know what it's called, maybe a leg curl, but it's where I curl that weight back, boom, like this. Well, I was doing that one day and my knees sound like potato chips. And so I looked it up, and there's problems with the cartilage. And so just be mindful of not overdoing it. We have good days and bad days with our joints, particularly if you have arthritis. So be mindful of how you take care of your knees and your hips specifically, because there are weight-bearing joints. So when you shift weight to a knee, you don't want to overextend your knee past your toe, because that's going to put a bad pressure on your knee and cause you pain and cause you more problems. So always in Tai Chi, we never want to do more. We never want to try to do the most, the biggest movement. It's just a slight bend, giving that leg a little bit of weight, to let it bear some weight, to let it warm up that joint, and then bring that weight back. So don't ever try to do too much. You may cause yourself pain whenever it goes against what we're trying to do. All right, so now for our ankles, we have heel, toe, rocking that foot, good for circulation, especially in our lower leg. Bring that foot back, shift the weight, heel, toe, rocking that foot. All right, bring that foot back, shift the weight, big toe, little toe. So we're going to go side to side, essentially. And then other foot, little toe, big toe, side to side. Now, if you're seated, it may feel a little awkward to do that movement. Your legs kind of in a different position. It may hurt your knee to do it that exact way. So what you can do is scoot back in your chair and put your feet kind of in the air and do like windshield wipers. Side to side, you can do one at a time. You know, if you're seated, you have the luxury of being able to do your foot in a circle. And that, mine just popped. I don't know if y'all's are popping, but the windshield wiper is the good seated version, even if you do one at a time. But sitting back in your chair allows your legs to be supported by the chair, and you don't have to completely hold that leg up yourself using your muscle power. All right, so that is our warm-ups for all of our major joints, from head to toe meaning our neck, shoulders, spine, hips, knees, ankles. I think I said all of them. Going by memory. Okay, so if you're ready, I'm ready. So we're going to do our Tai Chi Basic 6. We're going to start with our commencement move, reminding ourselves of all the pieces of that movement. Even though we have learned it before and talked about it before, maybe sometimes we forget things. So, or maybe I didn't say something the first time we talked about it, and I have something new to say about it that just strikes you in a different way. But commencement starts off with that nice stable stance, good posture, no stress or tension in our body, just nice weight on both legs. Our feet are planted on the ground, and we're practicing that good breathing. So take you a few good deep breaths, fully filling those lungs with air, and completely emptying those lungs with air. Take you a few good breaths. Hopefully you feel yourself relaxing a little bit. I think I'm going to turn on some little Tai Chi music because I do have the luxury of not talking as much as we do this, since we're not brand newbies. This is another example of wonderful technology. All right. So with that nice relaxing music, and all I did was get on the internet and typed in Tai Chi, and it just gives me this nice, easy music, so that whenever I inhale and exhale, it creates an environment that's just relaxing. One of the principles of Tai Chi in the internal aspect is Jing, Jing, and that's that mental quietness. That's what I joke with y'all, that it's hard to get in class when you have an instructor that just talks. So if you have an opportunity to experience mental quietness, this is how you do it with the music. So I'll just give us a few minutes, probably not a few minutes, but just a minute or so to really let that music guide us with your breath. Feel free to use your shoulder circle or your open and close. Letting your lungs inhale fully, filling with air, and then exhale, completely emptying with air. This is how we can gather the benefit of reducing stress, reducing anxiety, reducing depression, allowing our body to completely relax. And when we're relaxed, we have less chance of that chronic pain. In that pain cycle, tension is in that pain cycle, and it's what makes pain worse. So if we can find a way to relax those muscles, relax our mind, then we can help relieve some of that chronic pain. So don't think you're not doing anything when you're breathing, because you are. You're relaxing your body. If you ever find that you can't sleep, wake up in the middle of the night, you can't get back to sleep, practice this breathing as you're lying down. Have your arms over your stomach and just inhale and exhale. Just sets the tone for our Tai Chi. So here we go. Let's start with our commencement. For our footwork of commencement, it's a step forward. So we shift our weight to our left foot. We shift our weight to our right foot. We step with our left, shift the weight, and bring that right foot forward. So I'm doing this in mirror image. So commencement is a step forward. So scratch my mistakes. We're gonna shift the weight to our right foot, step out with our left, shift the weight to our left foot, and bring that right foot forward. That's the footwork of our commencement movement. So let's just practice that a few times. Shift, step, heel, toe, shift, and bring that foot forward. Thinking about movement control, slow, smooth, and continuous in the way we're moving. Shift, step, shift, and bring that foot forward. Pretty easy movement, just taking that step forward. Our hands start at our sides. We bring those hands up, facing each other, and down towards our body. Come up, I think of an elevator. Take our hands out, and then bring our hands back in. That's another one to practice breathing. Inhaling as we come up, and then exhaling whenever you get ready. And then you may need to take another breath as you complete that movement. You don't have to take 2 breaths, then you must be an Olympic swimmer. You must have some really good lungs. Inhale, exhale when you're ready. Inhale when you need to, and finish that movement with an exhale. Go through that movement a few times. Up, down, in, up, out, and in. That nice flute music slows down our rhythm, slows down our breathing, makes us feel a little bit more relaxed. So let's put our hands with our feet. Keep it in mind that when our hands come down, that's when that weight shifts to that right foot. When our hands go out, that's when our weight shifts to that left leg. So the weight shift and the arm movement go hand in hand. So let's put that together. And commence up, down, shift right. Step left, bring those hands in and up. Shift as we take our hands out, bring that foot forward, hands come back. Let's go ahead and add that open and close. Let's do that several times. And commence up, down and shift. Step, up, shift, foot forward, hands come back, open and close. Now without so many words, let's do that several times and commence. Follow me. Open and close. Really taking that inhale and exhale to the most. Completely filling, completely emptying. Commence. Stay right here a second and do several of those open and close with that breath. Inhaling as your hands separate and exhaling as those hands come towards each other. Like you have an accordion, pulling that accordion out and pushing that accordion in. All right, let's put it together with commencement one more time, and then we'll go to our single whip. And commence. Up, down, shift the weight. Step, come in and up. Shift. And back, open and close. Very good. Single whip. So we're coming from this place where our weight is on both feet. Our feet are that shoulder width apart. We're coming from open and close. So our hands are here. We're going to shift the weight to our left foot or our left leg. We're going to step right. So whenever we step right, that was a little bit at an angle. You see, let me back up a little bit. So here my feet are both facing forward. And I shift the weight to my left leg. And when I step right, I didn't step very far, but I stepped at an angle. When I stepped at that angle, it naturally turns my body to follow how my foot is turned. Now let's say that hurts your knee a little bit. I've had people say that before. And so if that hurts your knee to turn it at that angle, then step out a little more straight. The main thing is that you're listening to your body and holding it in a way that feels good to you. So shift the weight and then step out just a little bit. So see, my foot is more pointed straight. But whatever works for you. So I shift left and step right. So I'm going to do the example as the angled foot. But remember, if that doesn't work for you, if it feels more comfortable to be straight foot, then be straight foot. Shift and step. So our hands are here from open and close. Once we make that step and we adjust the weight on our legs. So right now, my weight is about 50-50. Now, whenever we do our training for Tai Chi, they'll tell us 60-40. Now, I wouldn't know how to tell for sure that this was 60% of my weight and this was 40% of my weight. What that means is that there's a little bit more weight on that back leg than's on your front leg. But if you even it out to about 50-50, then you're close. So if it feels better to have a little more weight on the back leg, that's what they're going for here when they say 60-40. So it's shifting that weight left, stepping right, and then adjusting that weight to where you have weight on both legs. At that point, you're ready to do something with your hands. So you push your hands out, turn your hands away from you, palms out, and then separate, following that right hand, your left hand with your eyes. So whenever, even though your eyes are following your left hand, you continue to move your right and left hand out. And you should be able to feel that chest really opening up as you make that. That's that whip part right there. That's called the whip. Single whip. So it's push out, hands are facing, turn the hands away from you, and then separate. Your eyes follow your left hand, but you remember to move your right hand as well. That's our single whip. So in Tai Chi, we do it both ways. But before we can do it to the other side, we have a single whip in the middle. So let's just practice that a few times, that single whip. The first one we do is to the right. So we shift left, step right, adjust that weight, push, turn, and separate, following that left hand, opening both hands, separating, really opening up that chest. Shift to that left foot as you bring the right foot back. I'm out of practice a mirror image. That's the end of single whip. So let's do that again. I'll try to be less sloppy with it. Open and close. Shift left, step right, push, turn, separate, following that left hand. Shift left, bring that right foot back and right hand down. And that gets us ready for waving hands and clouds. So let's add that on to our commencement. Here we go, and commence. Open and close. Here's that single whip. Shift, step, push, turn, separate, following that left hand. Shift and bring that foot back. How's that? That's good? All right. Y'all make sure y'all always interrupt me if I'm not clear on something. But let's practice that again. And commence. Up, down. Open and close. Nice big breath. Single whip. And that gets us ready for waving hands and clouds. Let's do it again. And commence. Up. Down. Shift. Open and close. Single whip. Shift. Step. Push. Turn. Separate. Waving hands in clouds. To me, waving hands in clouds is just one of those wonderful pull-out movements that you could just spend time waving hands in clouds till you can hit a wall, and then wave hands in clouds. I can't wave hands in clouds too many times this way, or I really will hit this wall. So I'll start over here when we do our first waving hands in clouds to our right. But it's what I call Tai Chi walking. And when you Tai Chi walk, you take the time to shift the weight, you step, and when you step, you're going heel, toe. When you step to the side, you're going toe, heel. And you shift the weight, and you step, heel, toe, or toe, heel, shift. Whenever you step to the side, it's toe, heel. Shift, toe, heel, shift. So you don't want to just slap your foot out there. You do it with ease. That's smoothness to the movement. It's kind of like testing that water. You know, you put your foot in the water to see how cold it is or even how hot it is. If you've ever run a bath and accidentally ran your water too hot, you're probably going to put your hand in it, not your foot first. But for the sake of what we're doing here, let's just pretend we don't have hands. All we have is feet. So we're stepping out. We're testing that water. We put that toe down. Oh, what if it's too hot? Then we can easily bring our foot back instead of just pushing that foot out there, committing to the step, and then realizes we're in a danger place. Then it's harder to pull it back. So that's why we go toe heel. It's a gentle movement to the side. It eases ourselves into, then we commit to the weight shift. And that's Tai Chi walking sideways. That's what we do in waving hands in clouds. So it's shift, step, shift, follow step. Shift, step, shift, follow step. Shift, step, shift, follow step. Tai Chi walking to the side, shift, follow step. So we're shifting the weight slowly, smoothly, continuously, keeping our bodies upright, slowly transferring the weight. We're not leaning, we're staying upright as we Tai Chi walk to the side. So we're not just walking sideways, we're doing so much more. When we do this slowly versus this, a quick step, we're quick stepping, we're using more of our larger muscle groups, but when we slow down, we engage our stabilizer muscles, and that's how we get them stronger. That's how Tai Chi can help with balance, is because we engage our stabilizer muscles, okay? So Tai Chi walking is magical for our stabilizer muscles. That's the movement of waving hands in clouds. That's what you can practice to help with your balance. If you know somebody who says, I really want help with my balance, but I don't want to take Tai Chi class, I don't like Tai Chi class, that's okay. No hard feelings. I know it's not personal. It's just not for everybody. But if they really do want help with balance, have them give Tai Chi walking to the side a try. Okay, let's say their balance is really bad. They're probably not going to want or feel comfortable shifting the weight like that and walking and going places. So what can they do? They can have a chair or their stable table, my favorite rhyme of the day, holding that chair. So I'm not going anywhere with my chair, but what I can do is shift the weight and shift the weight. So I'm not walking, but this is that same motion. This engages those pretty much the same muscles as when I Tai Chi walk. This is kind of that precursor for people who really do have problems with balance, and they may not feel comfortable, and it might not be safe for them to Tai Chi walk without assistance. But that's that start. If a person doesn't even feel comfortable holding a chair and standing up, what you can do is sit, have your body more towards the edge of the chair. Your feet are about hip width or shoulder width apart, so you're in a stable stance, even seated. Now what I can do is push my foot into the floor and release that foot, push that foot into the floor. So I'm going side to side, pushing that foot. So you can your buttocks come off the chair. When I push that foot into the floor, it pulls this side up off the chair. So it almost feels like I'm walking, even though I'm sitting in my chair. Up and down my buttocks as I shift the weight and push that foot into the floor. So that's your very basic movement in engaging stabilizer muscles to help you be more stable and more balanced as you walk. Another, what had happened was, all right, I muted you. Is it still fuzzy?
No, because the music is so loud.
Say that again.
The music is too loud.
Oh, it's too loud. Thank you for letting me know, because I have my phone up here by the speaker. So I'm sorry about that. Thank you for letting me know. So thinking about, I wish and also that music, some of it is real low, and then some of the songs are louder than others. So we got it. We got y'all fixed now. So back to our, let's see, 2:23. I don't want to be stingy or be take too much of your time. So Tai Chi walking, which is waving hands in clouds. The other way that you can Tai Chi walk is forward. Remember, we don't like to Tai Chi walk backwards because we don't always have the luxury of a camera where we can know what's behind us, and we don't, we don't always know. So, and we sure don't have eyes in the back of our head, even though don't tell my children that I don't have eyes in the back of my head. They don't know. So we don't walk backwards for the sake of safety. So for Tai Chi walking forward, here I'm in my stable stance, good posture, weight on both legs. So I'm going to shift my weight to one leg, heel toe, shift, heel toe, shift, heel toe. So this is more like natural walking, except we're going really slow through the weight shifting. That's Tai Chi walking. So that engages the full range of motion of our leg and weight-bearing joints, so that we can increase the strength of our stabilizers and be more balanced. So here is Tai Chi walking. It looks like slow motion, regular walking, but because we're going slow and smooth, continuous, then it engages a different set of muscle than if we regular walk like here. That's different. I mean, you can even feel the difference in the muscle that you engage. So my challenge for you this week is to find time to Tai Chi walk. Tai Chi walk to the side, right and to the left, Tai Chi walk to the front, and really engage those stabilizers. Now, if you're not in the habit of doing a lot of slow movement like that, prepare to be sore, because those muscles don't usually get used. We don't force them to be used because we're more in a hurry. We don't take the time to completely shift the weight, to step heel toe, to completely shift the weight. So when we go forward, that's when we're heel toe. When we go to the side, we're toe heel. Taking that time to shift the weight. So that's your challenge this week. So let's go over that movement again with our commencement, open and close, and our single whip to get us ready for waving hands in clouds. And that's what we'll get into next week. Okay, so here we go. Run the top and commence. Open and close. Single whip. Right there. So now we're ready for our waving hands and clouds. All right, let's give ourselves a nice little fist massage. That breaks up any lactic acid that's making us feel sore. Nice and easy. I usually get sore right here, my lower back. A nice little fist massage. Now let's gather and release. Releasing reminds us that maybe we're holding tension and we don't even realize it. Hopefully you're checking with yourself throughout the day to make sure that you're not holding tension. It's just a habit. We hold tension. And the more tension we hold, the more pain we're going to experience. It's all part of that pain cycle. So we want to let go of any tension. One last time, gather and release. Big circle. I love this one for breathing. Inhale up and exhale. Inhale and exhale. One more. And to end each class, we have our right fist that represents our strength, the nice loose fist. Our left hand, that our fingers are here all together, represents our friendship. Our thumb is tight, and that represents our humility. We have our strength, friendship, and humility. And in mutual respect, we say namaste. So thank you, Miss Susie. Thank you, Miss Arlene. I hope that you get proper rest and you enjoy your company. You may not know it's a long weekend. My daddy likes to laugh and go, ha ha ha, every day's a weekend to me. Because my daddy's retired and he likes to rub that in my face. Isn't that nice of him?
Okay, well, you have a good weekend too.
All right, and I'll see y'all next Tuesday, okay? And
Okay.
let me know if I can do anything for you in the meantime. Y'all take care.
Enjoy your company.
Thank you.
All right, bye.
Bye. Namaste.
Namaste.